Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so excited about talking about this project. I think it's one of my favorites and most interesting project that I've done, and I'm excited to share with you guys what it's all about. Sentinel species as guardians is quite an interesting concept itself, and we're looking to use bioacoustics to not just monitor poaching and illegal logging, but also the health of the ecosystem. So we'll start with a quick introduction with our team. I am Aaliyah Pandolfi, and I am the Executive Director of Kashmir World Foundation. I've been with the foundation for 15 years, and I've done some really fun, cool projects, which I'll be sharing with you guys. But I'm very passionate about animals. I love wildlife, and I love being able to develop innovative technology solutions that can help us protect ecosystems and especially endangered species. Let's see if we can get Ron to go next.
Hi, I'm Ron Pandolfi. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for the Foundation. I had started a predecessor organization called Technology Assisted Counter Poaching, and that was merged into this foundation. And we are just having a whole lot of fun trying to apply the latest technologies and appropriate technologies to protecting endangered species around the world.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ryan Kabaha. I am a machine learning engineer and the team lead of the Bioacoustics Research Initiative here at KwF. I have a master's in computer science from the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia, and I'm very passionate about building AI systems to solve impactful problems.
I'm Kashmir Pandolfi. I'm 13 years old in 9th grade. I'm a scientist, engineer, mathematician, artist, and voice actor. I work with the Birds of Osa group in the bioacoustics team with KwF. I've been working recently to help finalize the list of birds and research their frequency and behavior.
Great. Hi, everyone. Jimmy Malik. As a leadership coach and strategist, my mission is to help leaders navigate through uncertainty, trust their instincts, and foster a deeper connection between their external purpose and core values. So I've spent years working with leaders across industries, helping them tackle challenges like decision-making under pressure, embracing adaptability, building meaningful connections. I'm excited to partner with KwF on this initiative.
Hi, how are you doing? My name is Rebecca Quiroz. I'm from Costa Rica and the manager and owner of the Tamandua Biological Station. I'm also a tropical biologist.
My name is Sarah Hunt. I'm Director of International Relations here at Kashmir World Foundation. I've been with the foundation a little over a year, and I absolutely love it. I have a background in technology development, have worked in everything from semiconductor development to biotechnology before moving over to the nonprofit sector. So now I'm here, and I absolutely love the team I work with. So we're glad to have you all here.
Just a little bit of background on Kashmir World Foundation. I founded the foundation back in 2008, and I've done some really exciting projects, but the ones mostly related to endangered species that I want to just highlight for you guys, my favorites. Number one was the Wildlife Conservation UAV Challenge, which is a international challenge that I launched in 2013 to design and develop a fully autonomous drone that can detect poachers in the African bush, and we would be able to protect rhinos primarily, but of course, you know, there are many other endangered animals in the African safari, but we normally pick one keystone species and work the development of a system around that. So for that particular project, we were focusing on the rhino, and we worked in South Africa mostly, but with the development of these drones all over the world, the technology has been applied on 6 continents. Our second project, which I launched in 2016, was slightly different, but still pretty open terrain environment on coastal areas of the beaches with the sea turtles, and being able to design and develop a drone that can detect and identify turtle tracks, and then follow those tracks to determine if the turtles laid a nest, and if they laid a nest, where what the GPS location is of that nest, and then provide that information to the biologist. And then following that, we decided to go into the high altitude mountains of the Himalayas and take a much bigger challenge working in that environment with, the terrain mountains at, 18,000, 20,000, 26,000, and then working to protect snow leopards in that environment. So I realized drones was not going to be the only option. So we actually had to develop a suite of technology solutions. So we called it Project Trinity, because there's a mobile app that the conservationists are able to use to record the data. There are camera traps, and then there's a desktop application that allows them to use to actually take the SD card and allow an AI model to automatically detect and identify the species from the camera trap data. And then we have been developing a blended wing body aircraft that will be able to fly at 18,000 to 25,000 feet of altitude in the Himalayan mountains. So that's been a pretty challenging project, and we are still working on it. It's still one of our active projects, and it's definitely very different than where we are heading now. So as you see, we started in open savanna, we continued with a pretty close to sea level coastal area, and then we decided we were going to venture into the mountains, high altitude. Next, we're doing a little bit something special and different, and heading into the rainforest, and we've chosen Costa Rica as our special place to launch and work on this particular project. Two reasons. One, because I got my cat Chico in Costa Rica, so I feel like I owe giving back to Costa Rica if I can. And second, because Rebecca is absolutely amazing, and she is definitely one of the best partners we've ever worked with. So I'm so honored and happy that she's decided to work with us as well. And very quickly, this project has taken shape and form, and we have a really strong KWF team that Ryan's leading. So it's really been amazing seeing the transformation literally within the last couple of months on this project. So I'm happy that you guys are here today and learning about this project and possibly how you can become involved with it. And I'll pass it on to Ms. Kashmir.
All right, so before we start the more informative part of the presentation about the actual expedition, I'd like to start out with a little bit of vocabulary. But first, give me a thumbs up if you like interdisciplinary projects. All right, I saw one. No, two, 3, 4. Okay, that's better. That's better. It would be sad if there was only one person here who is interested in interdisciplinary projects. All right, so our interdisciplinary project uses biology, physics, and AI in conservation. So let's start with the vocabulary. The first word is soundscape ecology. If you think of a landscape is how the land and all the little parts of it are all laid out over an area. Trees, rivers, bushes, whatever there is. Versus a soundscape is how the sound will travel through the area, rather than like how the trees are laid out, because that doesn't make sense. Sound, trees. The second word is bioacoustics. If you break this one down, biology, acoustics, sound. So it's the study of sound, and we're using this to help understand what these animals are saying and create some kind of universal translator so that we can detect threats in the Osa Peninsula. The next word is an important one, sentinel species. Does anyone have any idea of what a sentinel species is without reading what it says there? Just do a thumbs up. All right, we have 1, 2, okay. So, I'm so useful here. All right, so a sentinel species, for example, is like a rooster. A rooster will crow when there's food, because, to alert the hens that there's food somewhere so they can go there. A rooster will crow when there's a threat, but it'll sound a little bit different because, it's a different call for a different thing. And a rooster will make another different call for when it's calling the hens to go in for the night. Sentinel species also make sounds when there's food, a threat, or like it's nighttime. And these are very important ones because these are probably going to be the birds that we're going to be using to detect poachers and other illegal actions. The next word is signal processing. So just like how your brain right now is processing the vibrations coming out of your computer into words, a computer can do the same thing while processing different signals into useful information or data. And finally, machine learning. The same way that a little child will learn how to speak by just being loaded with huge amounts of data, a machine can do something very similar. And we're going to be using this type of AI to uncover patterns within data sets of birds making sounds, so we can figure out which sounds are threats or threat calls.
Thank you very much, Kashmir. That was a great setup for me to kind of talk a little bit about what our big picture is for this particular project and why are we doing this. As I shared, previous projects are very different. Primarily, I've worked with drones, autonomous systems, but I wanted to try something different because it's a different environment. It's a different challenge we're going to be solving. So we decided our goal would not just be to work with, develop another autonomous system, but really immerse yourselves with nature and with the animals that live within the ecosystem and the people that have been living in the Osa Peninsula for quite some time. So our goal is really to decode the language of the sentinel species and understand what the changes of their frequency means, particularly related to threats. And we figured it'd be nice if we have a universal translator that can detect and understand and decode every single animal, but unfortunately that's not going to be the case. We can't start with every animal. And for example, we had over 700 birds in Costa Rica, narrowed it down to around 500 in Costa Rica, and then working with Rebecca, I was like, okay, it's 375 within the Tamandua location in Corcovado National Park, and we had to narrow that down even more to, let's say, 20 birds that we can realistically do it. And then as Ryan and I continue discussing this, we're like, okay, maybe we should be even more realistic. Let's go with 5 birds, our daytime birds, and then we'll look at 5 different species for nighttime that we can have enough data on and decode their language and really have a pattern and a baseline of how to do it. And once we can do that with 5 birds, then it would be a matter of taking data from the other species and training our model to ultimately become a universal translator for voices of the rainforest. And the purpose is really just like every single project for KWF is how can we protect endangered species, right? So we want to be able to take the signals and find out where the poachers are and then how to stop them before they harm the animals, but then also other illegal activities that are happening in the Osa Peninsula. How can we help the community protect and preserve their ecosystem as well? Ultimately, our long-term impact is leveraging AI and being able to come up with a system that will be working together with the ecosystem itself, the local community of Costa Rica, and then working to protect that environment for years and years and years and probably decades to come. So that's our overall project scope and projected goals. Now, how are we going to make this happen? It's a pretty challenging project, but there's always a way that you can get to the finish line if you have a great team and you have a vision and then you have a process that you're going to follow. So our process for this project is quite interesting. We're in our research and discovery phase. which really started this year when I met with Rebecca earlier this year, and we've been, talking about the challenges and the problems of the Osa Peninsula. And then once Ryan joined the team, we started reading a lot of papers that have been published on bioacoustics, where we are with that. Open source is a big part of what we do, because I think, all the work that we do as a nonprofit organization, it's important to allow future scientists and engineers to build on that. So we've been doing a lot of reading, a lot of researching to understand the current models that are available, and can we build on top of those models to allow us to ultimately develop a bioacoustic system. Our next phase that we're going to be jumping into is more of an experimentation and fact-finding mission, which includes the expedition to Costa Rica in March. And in this, we're going to be testing out the different types of acoustic sensors, different types of cameras, and getting in the field and really just understanding and immersing ourselves to understand what are the challenges we're going to face on the technical end, what are the challenges we're going to face on the processing, on signaling, and a variety of other things. And getting in the field, I think, is going to really change the scope of the project as well. And as we evolve from there, then we'll start prototyping and developing a baseline system that will allow us to do the detection. And that phase will obviously go back and forth with experimenting, prototyping, and then testing and integrating. So ultimately, the goal for this is to use Tamandua Biological Station as our pilot project, working closely with Rebecca and the locals there. And if and when we develop this technology, it can be applied to other countries around the world that have a very similar jungle rainforest type of ecosystem. So that's really our goal. And we're looking at this project as a 5 to 7 year project realistically. But some pieces might move faster than others. And we're excited to bring you guys in on this journey at the very start of it all. So I am going to now let Rebecca tell you a little bit more about the location that we're working in.
Okay, the Tamandua Biological Station is located in the South Pacific in Costa Rica, right? Is in the Osa Peninsula. We offer logging, food, tours, and a living laboratory in one of the most biodiverse locations on the planet. The Osa Peninsula has 2.5% of the global biodiversity. We have several biological monitoring projects already. We have some with camera traps, with butterflies. And I'm also trying to do an inventory of species that are present in our place, which are a lot, so it will take me a long time. And now, with the alliance with the Kashmir World Foundation, we want to develop the station like a place where artificial intelligence become an accessible tool for our local and international collaborators, advancing scientific research and conservation efforts. Some of the problems that we have in the Osa Peninsula, hunting. Historically, men have engaged in hunting as a cultural tradition. They are motivated by excitement rather than necessity. The second is the illegal logging. It's difficult. It's quite hard to obtain the permits. There's a lot of bureaucracy. So many people are taking the risk and are taking wood illegally from the forests. We have very hardwoods. It's very expensive. And there's a large market because the tourism is growing a lot around the Osa Peninsula. So there's many hotels that every year they need wood. The other problem is the gold mining. This has been an activity since the 60s, since a long time ago, but it have continued illegally inside the Corcovado National Park, especially at the other side of the peninsula. around the Karate area, where there's a lot of gold inside the rivers. Then a new problem since some years ago is the narco traffic. You know, Costa Rica is like a bridge between the cocaine producing countries in the south and the consumer markets in the north. So places like our beaches, mangroves, and even the national park are used to store drugs and money. And many local people are involved in this business because, of course, they can obtain a lot of money from it. Not just moving the drugs, but also providing water or food or, you know, supplies to these people. And then the last problem is the ineffectiveness or enforcement. You know, there's not enough money, personnel, there's corruption in some way, sometimes disinterest. So that makes it difficult than the environmental crimes are really a penalty, you know. So those are in general, the problems we are facing in the Osa Peninsula. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Looks like Ron's up next.
All right, we'll step back a little bit into the science behind what we're attempting to record and what we're attempting to use. People are pretty good receivers of sound. When you're exposed to sound, you can feel it in your body as oscillations in your chest and in your heart. And you can detect it in your ears. And these are kind of two different ways to detect sound. So what sound is it's longitudinal pulses. And those pulses can occur at different amplitudes and at different frequencies. And we kind of show in chart 1 what that time dependence of the pulse energy looks like. You can feel those pulses if they're lower frequency in your body. If they enter your ear has something called a semicircular canal. If you think of a snail with a narrowing body size towards a point, that's what your inner ear looks like. It has little hairs all along that canal, and the hairs vibrate as the sound waves interact with them based on the frequency of the sound and the length of the hairs and the size of the canal. And it sends signals to your brain that tells you what frequencies are included in the sound. And we're going to do kind of the same thing with computers. We're going to use a microphone, which is a pulsed device. As the longitudinal waves impact the microphone, they're going to generate electrical signals that look a lot like what you see in the quadrant 1. And then we're going to subject them to something called a Fourier transform, which will transform them into the spectral components as depicted in the quadrant 3. Now, there's a time dependence of this. So if you look at quadrant 3 and you see what is the spectral components of the bird's song, it depends on time as well. So back to quadrant 2. So birds use a variety of chirps that are kind of inherent in their DNA. They're born with the ability to issue those chirps. Some also have some songs that are built into their DNA, and they come out ready to be able to voice those songs. And other birds have more complicated languages they learn from others of their species and from even other non-species. If any of you have been around a parrot that lived in your home, it may have learned to try to talk like your dog or your cat or you, and it would learn some language and be able to speak whatever language you spoke to some degree. In their own environment, they learn complicated languages. And the groups of birds that have the most complicated socially developed languages are the parrots, the mynas, and that family that includes the ravens and the and similar kind of birds, and all these are down there. So one thing that people have been trying to do for a while is simply to identify a bird species from its chirp or its song. And in section 4 there describes that they do have these sort of unique frequencies. So when you convert the chirp or song into the spectral domain and then compare that to some matched spectral filters, you can pretty much identify what bird species it is. And people have been doing that for a long time. You can download an app on your phone to be able to do that. That doesn't necessarily tell you what the bird is trying to say. That simply tells you that there's a particular species out there that's made a vocalization. And we're going a step further big step further using natural language processing to associate that sound and that species with a particular meaning of that vocalization. How do I get to the next chart?
Oh.
Ah. Okay. So I think Princess Celia had spent some time early on talking about the difficulties that we're encountering in the rainforest. We had talked about doing work in the rainforest very early on when this foundation was formed. Well, we moved off to do some simpler problems where we had reasonable ways of using known sensors and platforms like drones to be able to look down in the savannas of Africa or be able to look down against the mountainsides up in the Himalayas. But we knew there would be some challenges in down in the rainforest, whether it's a camera trap or it's a motion sensor on the ground, the distances at which you can make a detection, and your ability to translate that detection into an information content is very, very limited. And you can just imagine you're down in the rainforest, the canopy is thick, you can't look from above, very difficult to look inside the canopy. There's a lot of stuff on the ground that's going to obstruct your visibility. It's also going to obstruct sound propagation as well. And that's going to limit your ability to do detections. A lot of times you're going to be obstructed further by weather. It can be raining, high humidity, fogs. These are going to hinder sound communications. It's going to hinder optical communications, and it's going to make it difficult for the sensors themselves to be powered by solar power, for example, and to be able to continue operating under those high water content conditions. What we're trying to do is we're trying to bring in equipment that could be readily available, easy to implement, easy to network, and take advantage of the distributed nature of the sentinel animals that are already there. And we've been hearing reports for a long time of people that are down there and other rainforests around the world where they're saying when a person is doing something in the forest that seems to be dangerous to the environment or dangerous to the animals, they're going to vocalize. And usually it's going to be somebody up high in the canopy detect you first to make a sound. Others will pick it up and re-vocalize it. And maybe another species, like certain monkey species, will follow the individual around and report where they are. We want to be able to take advantage of that. It's difficult for us to see the animals. They're camouflaged. Many of them are operating only at night. And of course, the humans that are engaging, whether it's illegal mining or hunting or gold mining or narco trafficking, they're going to try to conceal their behaviors as well. But they can't always conceal them from the animals. They're very perceptive about what's going on in the field. And by leveraging their awareness and their vocalizations, we hope to have an ability to connect with the kind of sensors that we can use for short range and be able to take some actions.
Thank you, Ron. Over to you, Ryan.
All right, great. So now let's explore how AI is transforming wildlife monitoring here at KWF by really making it more scalable, precise, and actionable. So the first thing that we focus on is scalable data collection. So the idea is to have a bunch of strategically placed microphones that are deployed in these remote rainforests that are continuously capturing sounds, allowing us to create an extensive and diverse audio data set. And this includes important vocalizations from sentinel species, which we can then use to infer the status of the ecosystem's health and identify any potential dangers that may be occurring. The continuous recording also ensures that we don't miss any significant activity. And in the world of machine learning, the more data is always better. Next, we leverage automated analysis and various AI models that we are currently researching and building. The captured audio will be sent through a multi-staged filtering pipeline, processed, and then analyzed by our neural networks. Our models will be trained on thousands of audio samples, allowing it to learn to automatically identify species and their unique vocalization patterns. And that really saves us countless hours of manual work and greatly improves accuracy. So once the data is analyzed, we can merge it with various ecological information to drive further insights about the ecosystem or the habitat. So for example, we can combine our data set and the AI outputs with geospatial information, and that can help us create detailed maps of biodiversity. And it can also help us visualize patterns and trends across landscapes, which enables a better understanding of ecosystem health and any changes to the habitat. And finally, we are aiming to use this system for early warning. So by detecting changes and disturbances in real time, such as shifts in species activity, let's say a bird is constantly very social and then all of a sudden they become quiet, that would alarm the AI. It would understand that, and it would also pick up on specific patterns of vocalizations that might be indicative of a disturbance. And this will alert conservation teams so they can take prompt action to protect the wildlife and their habitats. So this all sounds great, but now naturally you might be thinking, how does this look like in practice? Well, we have a diagram now that will present a hypothetical scenario and explain the general flow of the system. So in this scenario, we have a bird there in the top right that is acting as a sentinel. It spots an unusual disturbance. In this case, it's a potential poacher following some peccaries. So in response, it produces a specific unique vocalization to alert other animals. And that's why we really are focusing on sentinel species. Due to our strategically placed microphones, the bird's vocalizations are captured. Using edge processing, they're processed right on site. They will then relay the audio data in real time to the research station where Rebecca and our other in-house biologists and scientists are, and the data is further processed. The audio will go through a denoising AI model, static filtering methods, and is just prepped and finalized for analysis. So then the data is fed into a trained AI translator model. This will most likely be a transformer-based model that has been specifically trained to recognize vocalization patterns linked to certain events and behaviors, such as a call of a bird when a predator is nearby, or in this case, poacher detection. And using this pattern of vocalization, the AI will produce a probability. So in this case, this particular vocalization pattern yields a high likelihood that a poacher is present. Then we can use external mathematical methods like triangulation, and we can determine the likely location of the disturbance. This information is then flagged as a high probability poacher detection, and some specific coordinates are returned, triggering immediate alerts to authorities. The great thing about all of this is that since it's multi-stepped, we can really optimize every single steps. For example, using edge processing utilization, using a trained denoising model for filtering. And ideally, this process can be completed within a short amount of time, perhaps even seconds, which will prompt immediate and effective counter poaching measures.
All right, thank you, Ryan. As you've heard, we've got an expedition in conjunction with this awesome bioacoustics project. How many hands or show of thumbs up have ever been or wanted to go on a scientific expedition? Okay, seeing some hands, seeing lots of thumbs now. Okay, great. Well, now is your opportunity to do that. The Rainforest DeepData Expedition in conjunction with this project is going to occur March 17th through the 22nd of 2025. In the Osa Peninsula, our base station is going to be Tamandua Biological Station, as you've heard. So this is an immersive field experience. And I'm really excited about it because you're basically going to get to engage in cutting edge conservation work to protect endangered species in a 50+ million year old primary forest. So it's been around since the Mesozoic era, like literally the age of reptiles or the age of the dinosaurs. That's where we're going to be studying all the biodiversity down there in conjunction with contributing to this groundbreaking bioacoustics research. What are we going to be doing? Quantified data collection. So in conjunction with all the experts, you're going to work on developing the universal translator for sentinel species, basically collecting data for that. And with that tool, we're going to decode communication among sentinel species. So this is an emerging field for the greater scientific community and everyone's opportunity to be a part of this expedition from the beginning, which is going to benefit the scientific community collectively, as this is an emerging field. So essentially, this is impact change through action. In addition to working and contributing on this actual scientific expedition, you're going to get to immerse yourself in the beauty of the Osa Peninsula, which, as Rebecca said earlier, contains 2.5% of the world's biodiversity in 1,700 square kilometers. So that's pretty amazing. Additionally, this is the first time Kashmir World Foundation has ever opened up a scientific research expedition to community science participation, right? So even if you're a civilian scientist, you don't do this professionally, but you are wanting to go on a scientific research, this is your opportunity to do that. We still have a couple of spaces available. So if you are interested in this, please check out the QR code or take a look on our website, and you know, get in touch with me directly so I can get you registered or send a brochure and we can have a conversation.
Thank you, Sarah. So for those listening in, if you're in a leadership role or have served as a leader in a role in the past, give me a thumbs up if you feel like the demands of being a leader leave little room for growth and authentic connection. So Aaliyah and I were talking about this months ago, and this Leadership in the Wild challenge was kind of born out of passion for creating transformational experiences. I really want to design a space where leaders can step away from the day-to-day grind, reconnect with yourself, emerge, recharge, and ready to lead with sort of a renewed purpose. And this challenge focuses on 3 key pillars: resilience, growth, and transformation. So leadership is filled with unpredictable challenges. Resilience isn't just about bouncing back, it's about adapting to change, learning from your setbacks, and emerging stronger. This journey will push you to develop the mental and emotional stamina needed to thrive in uncertainty. And growth happens when we step outside of our comfort zone into spaces that challenge us. What a space the Osa Peninsula is going to be as a backdrop. So through immersive experiences, you'll explore new perspectives, you'll deepen your understanding of leadership, and expand your capacity to lead with purpose. And true transformation isn't about what you do, it's about who you become. This challenge will connect you to the core of who you are as a leader, leaving you with clarity, confidence, and tools to lead in ways that align with your values and your vision. And this isn't an experience, it's a catalyst for growth that transforms not just your leadership, but your life. I'm excited to share more about this and how it can help you realign your thinking about what leadership means for you. Next slide, please. So what does it mean to reimagine leadership in this challenge? You'll be stepping into a space that's designed to transform how you lead, think, connect through these 4 powerful dimensions. Leadership can be isolating, especially at the top, but it doesn't have to be. And that's where collective synergy comes in. This isn't about learning together, it's about connecting. Imagine walking away from this challenge with not only insights, but also a network of leaders who get it, who understand your challenges, are there to support you long after this experience ends. And then there's nature's lessons. The rainforest isn't just a stunning backdrop, it offers wisdom that is directly applicable to leaders. Think about the interconnectedness of ecosystems, how every part plays a role. It's a reminder of balance and adaptability we need as leaders to thrive in complex environments. We'll also focus on impact and impactful leadership. We live in a very unpredictable world where clarity and confidence are more valuable than ever. So through carefully designed immersive workshops, we'll equip you with tools to make better decisions, think strategically, and lead through uncertainty with purpose. And finally, true transformation happens with reimagined coaching. So this isn't about giving generic advice, it's a personalized sessions designed to help you uncover what's holding you back, reconnect with your core values, and redefine your leadership in ways that feels authentic and aligns to your bigger vision. This challenge isn't for everyone, but it's for leaders ready to reimagine what's possible in their leadership and their lives.
All right, thanks, Jimmy. So hopefully everybody has a good idea of the project and the expedition and what we're offering in conjunction with both, there are lots of ways to get involved with KWF. If you're not able to make the expedition, just know we've got a lot going on. There's multidisciplinary internships. Like Aaliyah mentioned, we've got several project scopes that are still ongoing in terms of development. Additionally, if you're an expert in your field, we would love to collaborate, especially right now. If there are any bird experts here watching or you know of, please put them in touch with us. We would love to collaborate with them. So there's an opportunity to be involved there. Additionally, expeditions and workshops. We've got a lot of workshops that we do, the Build a Drone workshops, DaVinci Challenge. And then we've actually got a workshop coming up on Wild Hub on, I think it's December 10th, for AI-powered resume building. So just check out our website to get involved with the upcoming workshops and be on the lookout for our next expeditions, because we are going to do more than one. And then if you're not able to be involved physically or participate in the activities, but you want to support the foundation, there are opportunities to donate. So we've got our Field Research Fund, as well as the ability to sponsor equipment like camera traps or the different bioacoustic sensors, things that are very much needed and will be very greatly appreciated if you want to support in that way. So that concludes our webinar for today. And now I'm going to turn it over to Aaliyah and open it up for Q&A.